It's going.
Down 3 feet underground lived a family of ants in the ant village. Everyone is working hard there. It's underground and there are only tunnels that lead to different places. The mother, Amma, is a very caring individual who is always looking after her daughter Annie and making sure everyone is safe in the village.
Annie, don't climb up too far. Annie, stay close to my side.
Okay, Mom.
Annie answers and shortly after always whispers to herself.
She never lets me do anything. All I want to do is be like an adult and go to work with Dad. Is that too much to ask for?
Annie's father, Greg, is a very hard-working ant. He spends all day out by the dangerous human world searching for food to bring back to the village. He's had to overcome very dangerous situations. A story he often tells is when one day
I spotted some green, healthy leaves across the sidewalk, and I knew that they would be great to bring back to our village. The only problem was that there was many humans walking across this area, and I could be stepped on at any moment. I knew how much these leaves could help our village, so I took a deep breath, stretched my legs, and went for it. It was a challenge. There were human feet everywhere, big ones, little ones, and ugly ones. I could feel every step these humans took, and the earth underneath me was moving as I ran across. When I finally reached the leaves, and then turned the same way back, boy did I have an adventure to tell.
anywhere Greg tells a story, you are sure to find Annie in the crowd of audience. Annie wishes to be like her father and be able to go over ground one day to have adventures like him. But there is one person who always stops Annie, her mother. But one day, Annie had a great idea.
I will do all my chores without Mom asking me to do them. Then I will ask to go to work with my dad. There is no way Mom can say no to that. She's always wanted me to complete my chores without her reminders every day. Therefore, I will give her what she wants so I can get what I want.
And so she did. The following morning, Annie got up earlier than normal, did her bed, swept, set out breakfast, and even took out the dried leaves. Annie's mom sure was surprised. Then came the time for Annie to ask.
Mom, did you notice all my hard work this morning?
Yes, I sure did, Annie. You were such a busy ant. You're just like your father.
Thanks, Mom. Talking about my dad, I was wondering if since I proved I am a hardworking ant, I can go with him to work today. Please, Mom, I will be extra careful.
I knew something was up, Annie, but you know that going up over ground is far too dangerous for us ants. Only experienced adults are allowed them.
But
My decision is final. You may not go with your dad.
That night, Annie was thinking of ways to change her mother's mind. She could not think of a good enough reason to convince her mom. Knowing this, she knew she had to think of something else.
maybe I didn't have to convince my mom. Maybe I just don't have to tell her the truth.
Annie had a new plan.
Tomorrow, I will tell my mom that I have volunteered to help dig at the new tunnel in the village. Instead of going there, I will pretend to be a worker like Dad and follow the crew to the human world. But I have to make sure Dad doesn't recognize me. I will wear a leaf hat like the other workers and stay at the end of the ant trail away from Dad.
Annie did as she planned, and Amma believed her. Scene 2. Annie is now on the ant trail, at the end where she had planned.
I can't believe this is working. My dad hasn't recognized me and I hope he doesn't.
Everything seemed to be going great until Annie realizes something.
Oh no! The ant trail has stopped. I have to hide quickly before my dad makes it to the back of the trail and recognizes me.
Annie hurries to the right and hides behind a rock. She doesn't see the trail moving, so she decides that taking a quick nap won't hurt anybody.
My eyelids are so heavy. I've walked so much, I'm exhausted. I'll take a quick nap while I wait for the line to continue again.
Annie falls into a deep sleep when two roly-polies thought it would be funny to wake up Annie.
Look at that lazy ant. Let's scare the gajubers out of her and go really close and stare at her until she wakes up. This will be oh so funny.
Annie suddenly wakes up. To her surprise, there are two roly-polies staring into her eyes. She had never seen such creatures.
Wow, I've never seen an ant as round as you. What village are you from?
You must not be from around here. Not only are you lazy, but you are lost.
What do you mean? I'm with the rest of the ants walking on that trail.
Look like you fell behind, you lazy.
They all look at the trail and see that no ants are there. Annie's heart sunk.
This is not what I had planned. My mom is going to be so mad at me when she knows I've lied. Now lost. Can you please help me get back to my village?
What should we help you?
Please help me. I don't know how to get home. I was just coming to work with my dad, but I accidentally fell asleep and they left me behind.
Give us a second while we talk about this.
The roly-polies huddle up and come up with a condition under which they will help Annie.
Okay, we got it. Since you were going to work with your dad, how about you do some work for us? Then we will tell you how to get home.
Oh yes, anything to get home. Tell me, what do I have to do?
Well, there's this leaf that looks very delicious across the sidewalk. If you can get it for us, we will take you home. I'm sure you can do that. The ants are very hard workers.
The first thought that came to Annie's mind was her dad's adventure and how dangerous it had been. Even with the thought of danger, Annie was willing to take the risk to get back to her mother. The three of them walked up to the sidewalk and stood there. Annie hesitated and took 2 steps back.
You want to go home or not?
Yes, I do.
So Annie takes a deep breath, stretches her legs, and starts walking across the sidewalk. While walking, she felt the earth move with every step that the humans took. She could not give up, though. She avoided being stepped on.
This isn't as fun as my dad's stories seem to be. I just want to go home.
Annie made it to the leaf and looked back at the roly-polies.
I don't think she's gonna make it.
They yelled back at her.
You scared or what?
Annie was too scared to respond. As she's standing there, Annie could hear her mother's voice saying,
Annie, stay close to my side. The overground is far too dangerous for us ants.
Annie knew the only way to get back home was to cross the sidewalk back to the roly-polies. But the only way her fear could go away was to pretend she was walking along her mother's side. In no time, Annie was across the sidewalk with the leaf in her hand. The roly-polies were in shock and could not believe she was able to accomplish this mission. Seeing that Annie was exhausted, the roly-polies offered her a piece of leaf for her to eat. After that, Annie asked,
Can you show me how to get home now?
Yes, that's part of our deal. Follow us.
They continue walking. Annie is super exhausted because she's been through so much today. As they are walking, she notices that it begins to look familiar. They take a sudden stop at a rock, which looked very much like the rock that Annie had taken a nap at.
This rock looks very familiar.
Well, yes, this guarantees we're going the right way. Oh, wait, you must be very tired walking with those tiny legs of yours. Why don't we take a nap, then we will continue on our way.
Okay, that sounds good.
As Annie fell asleep, the 2 roly-polies stayed up.
Taking her home will be too much work. We don't even know where she's from. Let's just leave her here and be on our way until she wakes up.
And they both went off, leaving poor Annie by her lonesome. Scene 3. It's now getting dark and Annie wakes up from her peaceful nap. She looks around and sees no roly-polies.
Roly-polies, where are you?
With no answer, Annie realizes that she was tricked by the 2 roly-polies. Not knowing what to do, Annie sits on the rock and sobs. If only she had listened to her mother, none of this would have happened. In the distance, she could hear her father's laughter. She looks up and sees the ant trail coming her way. She hides behind the rock, keeping a close eye on the trail. As the working ants, including her dad, are happily walking home, Annie joins in the end.
I'm finally going home.
They make it to the ant village. Annie runs to her mom and hugs her.
What's gotten into you, Annie? The hug felt like you've been gone for so long.
I never want to leave your side, Mom.
I guess working in the tunnel must have taught you a thing or two.
They both smile and Annie hugs her mom once again. Dad walks in.
Boy, only if you 2 knew what day I had.
Annie looks at her dad and smiles. The end.